not less than you because you are white. I don't need you to look at me and feel bad for me because of the color of my skin. And that's effectively what you're doing. Every time you take an application, you say, oh, well, this girl's black, so I kind of feel bad for her, so I'm going to put her at the top of a line. It's just not necessary. You are basically saying that Black Americans cannot do it on their own.
I'm of mixed background. What am I supposed to mark on an application? Am I supposed to mark multiple boxes?
Mark black.
That's a terrible thing to tell someone to do.
Well, it's the truth because you believe in affirmative action. So I said, Mark Black. I'm in an interracial relationship, so I can speak to this. I have a son that's half white and a son that's half black and a daughter that's half white and half black. Okay. They're going to mark black because I know that there are people like you at the universities who will say, well, because this person is black, I'm just going to let them in.
No, they're going to mark black because they're black.
Well, they're half black and half white. They're both. Yes. What are you going to look at that applicant as a little bit less because they're half white? How do you guys figure that out?
Holistically, across a number of different factors.
I love me a buzzword. Holistically and racial consciousness.
Oh, yeah? Reverse discrimination. There's a buzzword. It's
not reverse discrimination. It's just discrimination. It's just racism if you're judging people on the basis of their skin color.
What's going on, everyone? Stocks with Kenny here today, and welcome to, I guess, the final video of 2024 for Black History Month. And in honor of Black History Month, or what some people are calling it, Black Idolatry Month, it seems like a lot of black people, and this is a video about like the racial politics of black liberals, or I don't know what I'm gonna call this video. But one thing I am going to hit home is this idea that black liberals have, that everyone has to see their color, see race, and evaluate them based on their race, right? And this is a kind of a racist standard that they pretend that is supposed to solve the problems that they claim that exist in our country, right? The racialized standards and all this stuff, right? There's videos out here. I don't think you can be racist towards white people. This is a common talking point about that black liberals like to push. And I always find it funny. It's like, oh, if white people decide to play the same game, black people will be mad, right? If white people are unapologetically white, black people will be mad. Black people will feel some type of way about this. And this goes to this point that black conservatives have been saying for a long time towards black liberals, is that if this country was really racist, if the people in this country were significantly racist as you claim they are to be, they wouldn't feel guilty about it, right? A racist doesn't feel guilty about being racist. But liberals sit here, push white guilt, push racialized guilt, make people feel guilty about things that they've never done, experiences they never had, right? Black people day and night always try to bring up this point that white people can't criticize black culture because they can't relate to black culture because of their skin color. Racist idea, I know. But then in the same breath, they want to claim, oh, we need reparations because of what our ancestors suffered from. So if I take your argument at face value, hypocritical black liberal, you have never been a slave. So how can you relate to slavery? How are you affected by slavery when you've never been a slave? Same argument you tell white people about how they can't criticize black culture because they've never been part of black culture. They've never been black. They don't know how it feels to be black. They don't know the black experience. You never lived slavery, black people. So why you claim to be traumatized by it? Make it make sense. And to me, this is this way of justifying grievance, anger towards a group of people who didn't even do anything at an individual level to you. It's a way of rationalizing entitlement. Oh, the government should do something for me. I should get handouts. I should be entitled to something because of the color of my skin. Because people who look like me, who share my skin color, suffer something from people who look like you. That's all this has been rooted in. And the reason why I want to make this video is that I believe that Black History Month has become politicized, right? Because they don't talk about black history. Like if you hear, it's just like Black Lives Matter, right? They say Black Lives Matter, but then they don't highlight the black lives being lost by other black people, even though that make up the majority of black lives lost. Black on black crime kills more black people than white on black crime. But what we focus on, white on black crime. This is the racial politics of the liberal. I don't understand how this is not a This is one thing I've been I'm getting angry about, and then next we'll start talking about reparations. Is this idea that black conservatives aren't pro-black? And I'll argue that as much as black conservatives are pro-American, we're also pro-black. Because if you look at the stats, if I'm saying, hey, let's maximize the amount of black lives we can save, and black conservatives are highlighting, hey, black on black crimes take more black lives than white on black crime, I'm right. So who's more of a coon? The person who says, hey, this is what's taking most of our black people's lives. Let's stop doing this. Let's put attention to this. Let's rectify this. Let's fix this problem. Or a person that highlights a minuscule problem that's responsible for the least amount of black lives lost. But they want to politicize it. They want to make it a way so that way they can justify their policy position so black people start voting along their lines. A true pro-black, in my view anyway, will be a black person that will consider both sides of the argument. Black liberals day and night keep complaining about, oh, black people aren't a monolith. But when they come into my videos, they see that I express views that they claim that are not black or not thinking black. That in and of itself is an oxymoron. They say, oh my God, you're a black conservative, you this, oh, you're just kissing up to white people. No, I'm not. I'm an American. I want the best for this country. And what's best for this country is black people stop killing each other. Black people stop disproportionately committing so much crime so you don't get disproportionately sent to jail. I'm calling out the source of the problem. Why I want to treat symptoms. Why I want to change the rules to make it to make it easier for you guys not to break laws. You want everyone to cater to you, but you don't want to do any work on your own behalf. And this is the problem a lot of black conservatives have with a lot of black liberals. I think this is why I never was a liberal. Because I see these people and I say, yo, you just entitled. Like I said, nothing gets done with your feelings. Let's talk about the reality. Because for too long, I believe a lot of black liberals suffer from imagination. They imagine that they face some trauma because they see slavery on the big screens. And here's another thing that I always want to point out with liberals is that day and night they complain about how the black imagery, or representation, but they only want to represent black people one way. And in a way, black liberals kind of worship racism because they don't want to let it die. To the point where now they're going to sit forth and perpetrate more racism, as you saw from the affirmative action intro that I did with Candace Owens. They believe in the one drop rule, which is a racist idea. That because you have one drop of black, you're black. How condescending is that? That's conforming to European standards, but the same black liberal will get mad about that. Like, imagine that. They judge things off of European standards and then pretend that black conservatives are doing what they're doing. Projection. So, but I'm done on that little rant. On this next clip, this is a video about reparations and kind of encapsulate my thoughts on reparations. And I think my philosophy about it is that we got a lot of advantages that we didn't earn ourselves. Our ancestors gave us privileges and advantages that we didn't earn. And that in and of itself is reparations. But these people want monetary cash reparations. For what? Because you happen to be born with a certain skin color? For all I know, you could have been the descendant of a free black who never was a slave. They don't teach this about black history. They don't teach that there's some black people who never were slaves. They never teach in Black History Month that there are black people that actually own slaves. Instead, they want to push out a narrative that all black people were slaves. All black people were victims. All black people were oppressed. How is this not politicized black history? I do not know. But let's get into this clip about let's get into this clip about reparations, and then I'll give my thoughts at the end of it. Let's take a look.
There are some people that were talking about reparations in this country. They wanted reparations. And I remember I made this particular liberal so angry at me because I told them right to their face, nobody owes you anything for slavery. If you want to tell the truth about it, it is you who owes. It's you who owes. Why do you owe? Because somebody in those fields took stripes for you. Somebody after those fields were ended and slavery was ended, somebody had to walk through Jim Crow for you. Somebody fought wars and died for you. Somebody lived less than because they didn't have what you have, and they did it for you. There are people in their graves right now, and they are there because they were willing to stand up and fight for you. Those folks on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, carrying American flags, take that, Colin Kaepernick, living in a society that he could scarcely acknowledge, something that he has never known, living with a bigotry that none of us can imagine, carrying American flags on that bridge. And when they were hit upside the head with nightsticks and shot with water hoses and knocked to the ground, they got up and picked those flags up and kept marching. And they did it for you. Nobody owes you anything. If anybody owes, it's you, because you've been the benefactor of freedom. You are the one that owes. And what do you owe? You owe it to them to get up off your tail and get to school. And when you get to school, you owe it to them to get up off your tail at school and get to work and get some learning in your head. And once you get that schooling in your head and get out of that school, you owe it to them to get to work. And then when you get to work and you get married, you owe it to them to take care of your children.
I don't understand why people think they deserve reparations when they never suffered the same struggles or tribulations as their ancestors, right? And that never made a moral sense to me. Like, how morally, black liberals, I don't know how you guys square this. How morally can you claim that you deserve reparations when you never suffered the same pain and tribulations as your ancestors? Because just because your ancestors didn't get it, that's for your ancestors. That's the thing your ancestors are supposed to take, not you. You're not supposed to take something off their behalf. They're not alive anymore, and they probably didn't even want it. They wanted freedom more than they wanted money. And now that you got the freedom, you want to double dip, and that's what it seems like the reality of reparation is. You want to come out, black liberals want to come out here and demonize King Randall because he accepts donations from white people. But at the same breath, they want reparations, which is going to come out of who? White people. I don't know how they square it. They're probably going to rationalize it in the comment section, but it's an untenable position that you believe you believe that you deserve reparations when you got all the benefits from the civil rights movement, right? Your ancestors fighting in the Civil War, marching, fighting. White people died in the Civil War for black people to be free. Where the white people descended from them that they should demand reparations from y'all. They said the only reason you got free was because my ancestors died for your ancestors' freedom. Where's my reparations? White people can make that claim because this is why I say that the racial politics of black liberals is hurting our country. It's politicized black history. Black history is supposed to be a means of informing and instilling values in your youth so they can continue striving, so they know their heritage. And they use that heritage to propel them towards self-determinism. But black liberals use Black History Month as a way of justifying grievance. They cherry pick history, and this is something that black liberals like to throw at black conservatives, but they do the same thing. They criticize people the very thing that they're guilty of. Black liberals will only focus on slavery, Jim Crow, which Democrats, all that has Democrats in it. Most of the slave owners were Democrats. Like 95% of the slave owners were Democrats. Jim Crow was a Democrat. Market regulation, all the laws, the South, overwhelmingly Democrat. The political leaders, right? They don't mention that because right now they're 95% for the Democratic Party. But if we're talking about history, you want to be honest, you should talk about the Democratic Party's history. Instead, they want to create narratives. Oh, the party switched. No, the voters switched. The black people decided to switch to the Democratic Party because they thought they could get an economic advantage for voting Democrat. But then, as you see the results of it, war on poverty. Look at the negative long-term consequences that the people experience. And this is why they cherry pick history, because instead of looking back in the history and say, I think our ancestors did a bad decision by adopting liberal policies and values because it destroyed the black family. And here's all the consequences of destroying the black family: high rates of crime, high rates of poverty, low rates of college graduating from high school, college, the economic impacts of growing up in a single parent household, single mother household specifically. Single mothers have a high propensity for evictions. Women in general have a spending problem. Women in general get into more debt than men. Women are overwhelmingly, they make 85% of consumerism. They consume 85% of the products. And they're going to be the head of your household. No wonder a lot of these black Americans are in poverty, because they're headed 70% by single mother households. With people in general who tend to do these habits, they tend to do these decisions. Show me the decisions, I'll show you the outcome. Black people tend to do these decisions that gives this negative outcome. It's not because of their race, it's because of their actions. Right? Because at the end of the day, if you look at black history, and this is a conservative perspective on black history, if you look at black history, you'll know that black people's fate was never tied to what the opinions of white people did or didn't do, whether white people were racist or wasn't racist. All you gotta do is look at the story of Frederick Douglass. He was a slave in body, but he wasn't a slave in mind. Now in 2024, a lot of black people are a slave in mind and not in body. They can do whatever they want. They have all the opportunities. They have affirmative action that gives them special treatment based on their race. And they're still failing. Why? Because they're a slave in the mind. They suffer from imagination. They're more frightened of racism than the reality of it. What can a racist do to you now? At most, do physically harm. And after that, you can still sue them. Corporations can't discriminate you against the color of your skin. If, in fact, you get an advantage because of your skin color. But if someone say that's a privilege, you have black privilege, black liberals want to get offended. But this is what you fought for, black liberal. Now you have it. But at the same time you're getting privilege, you still want to remain a victim. And this is where the contradiction arises. You want to condemn a man who's getting donations from white people when most of your rappers get most of their money from white people. Your athletes get most of their money from white people. If white people didn't support these sports, the NBA, who's not very representative of white folks, donating your rappers, if white people was as racist, as race driven as black people, a lot of these black people wouldn't be successful in this country. And this is the kind of me calling out the black liberal is that, yo, you guys are pushing racial division and pretending that it's unity. DEI pushes racial division, not unity. You're pushing exclusive. You're expressing exclusion, not inclusion. Inclusion is, hey, we're all American. That's the real inclusion. And it seems like this DEI ideology, its very purpose is to divide and conquer. A divided house cannot stand. We're too busy fighting amongst each other to actually look at the America as a whole and say, hey, how can we all benefit from America? And that requires compromise. But for too long in my comment section, whenever I make videos like this, I'll get some black person in the comment section say, it don't matter. I don't care what is going on. I want my reparation. That's entitlement. No, you don't deserve nothing. And this is why reparations has never gotten any support whatsoever. The best chance reparation had support for was the people that actually suffered through slavery personally. That's it. The minute it went past that generation, it was a wrap. And here's another truth. Democrats were the one who stopped reparations in the first place. So if your ancestors was owed 10 acres and a mule, the Democrats stopped it. The Democrats shot Lincoln. Lincoln's VP was a Democrat. He stopped all that. And now you want to retroactively benefit based on the position of today? Hell no. You don't deserve nothing. I agree with that sentiment. Black history is supposed to be used as a lesson to learn and to empower our kids that, hey, look at all the disadvantages your ancestors faced and look at the greatness they still was able to express. You don't even have half of that obstacles anymore. So you can strive for whatever you want, whatever you put your mind to. That's where you can go to. That's where you can do. Instead, black liberals use racial politics. They use Black History Month as a way to highlight, oh, look how much of a victim you are. And look, this is your reality now. They use it to craft a narrative of helplessness that based on your race that you have a handicap, that you can't do something compared to someone else. If a white person passed this test, oh, you can't do math because math is not something black people do. It's not part of our culture. What kind of condescending, sorry message is that? And that's the messaging a lot of black liberals run on. And then they want to get mad and offended when black conservatives come out here and say, yo, this is offensive. You think I'm helpless? I'm not helpless. The reason why black liberals slander, smear, hate black conservatives is because black conservatives says, yo, I'm just as qualified as anybody. I can do anything anyone else can do, good and bad. If a white man can be racist, I can be racist. If a white man can do good in school, I can do good in school. It's not because of my skin color that I fail or succeed. It's because of my actions, behaviors, and my talents. My talents and my abilities. That's what decides my outcomes, not my race. And black liberals try to perpetuate this narrative that, oh, because of your race, you can't do anything. You put out an incentive. You put out a narrative. You put out a story that conditions our young, impressionable youth in the black community not to strive for more. The bigotry of low expectations. How do you hinder people? Don't expect much for them. Conditioning to them that, hey, you don't have to do much. Let us do everything for you. You coddle them. You make them comfortable in mediocrity, poverty. You make them comfortable enough just to keep giving your vote. Oh, you don't have to do anything. Let us help you. And this is the result. War on poverty. Look at the result. Let's look at, it's Black History Month, right? Look at the history. Look at the history. What happened when you gave black people more free things? In the 1960s, black community only had 24% single motherhood. After that, it jumped skyrocket. 10 years later, you had 54%. Then they start putting child support, which is because you already incentivized the behavior of men abandoning their responsibilities towards their kids and family. And imagine that. Years of Jim Crow, slavery, never destroyed the black family. Adopting liberal policies destroyed the black family. And look at the results we have today. High rates of poverty, less black kids graduating college compared to the past when we had a strong family. Like, imagine that. Look at the results. No good results have come adopting liberal policies and ideology. Yet black liberals, day and night, swearing up and down that they're pro-black. You're not pro-black. A lot of the policies you push hurt black people. Abortion disproportionately affects black people. And last time I checked, black liberals have this argument that disproportionality proves racism. So is abortion racist? Yes, based on the liberal definition. Me, I say, yo, black women are making choices that's detrimental to their people and to themselves. That's it. But, oh my God, they're trying to kill our people. But you're voluntarily doing it in the first place. Margaret Sanger will be smiling at what the decisions that a lot of black women are doing. But they don't see a problem with that. School choice. If you put your kid in a private school compared to a charter school, the kid in charter school will do better than the kid in public school. In the black community anyway. You got black people in New York desperate to get into charter schools. The minute some openings come up, they're rushing to the charter schools. Why? Because their kids do better there. But in public schools where Democrats cheer and say, oh my God, it's the best place ever. What are they teaching in there? In New York specifically, they're teaching transgenderism, a bunch of woke stuff, books and stuff focused on ideology. How's it going to help your people move forward? How is that going to help black people get into a better economic position, knowing what LGBTQ stuff is, gender norms, gender pronouns? How is that going to help them in any practical way? Social emotional learning. What are they supposed to do with that? This is why I'm saying progressive education is creating mass stupidity. These kids can't read or write. Look at Illinois. Illinois is the primary example of this. 53 school districts. Kids can't read, write, or do math at grade level. But they sure know how to protest. They sure know about George Floyd. They sure know about slavery. History is meant to use as an example to prove narratives, to strive for ideals. And it can be used for good and it can be used for bad. And I believe a lot of black liberals are using black history for bad. To tell black people that they're helpless, that they can't do nothing. And this is the enslavement of the mind. This is why black conservatives love to say, I escaped the Democrat plantation. Because this is a plantation. This is a mental plantation. This idea that you have a handicap because of the color of your skin. But then when I ask for proof, hey, show me the reality. Where's the proof? You can't give me any. But instead you give me a bunch of imaginations, a bunch of fantasy. Asking me to be frightened over something that don't exist. You craft a boogeyman in your head and then you say, I'm supposed to believe it too. And I said, no, I don't. I don't see none of that. I don't see no evidence to support what you're saying. And instead of saying, you're right, you call me a coon. Imagine that. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. This was just more of a personal ranting video from my end. I don't know. I felt like I went everywhere with it. I don't know. I want to hear your thoughts about it. Let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section below. Do you agree with me? Don't agree with me? I like to hear it all in the comment section. And I hope you guys had a good one. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.